Hey guys, Ron Annick here at Black Axe Ranch in Sturgeon Lake, Minnesota. So, hey, what a difference a week makes. On the last video that we posted, that was the one where my son Nikolai helped me out around the ranch here taking care of the animals. And at that time, we still had foot and a half of snow, on the ground and in the woods and pretty much all over the place here. What a difference. As you can see in the background there a little bit, I mean, we have lost majority of our snow. It's crazy. In the last 5 days, 6 days here, we've had upper 60s and a couple cases up into the 70s, which not unheard of for this time, for our area this time of year, middle of April. It's happened before, but not too common. And so this is nice. This weather is great. I mean, in Minnesota after the winter, anything 40 degrees or above is literally t-shirt weather. In fact, I think 44 degrees is officially shorts weather up here. But this is nice. We got blue sky, well, kind of bluish, blue skies. Got some cloud cover coming in. It's a little bit windy, but still way better than, I mean, it was a couple weeks ago. We still had 5 degrees, at night. So yeah, the weather, there's a saying in Minnesota, don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. That is literally the truth. In Minnesota, you can get up in the morning and 10 below. You got to put on a jacket, mitts, hats, and it can be windy. And by noon, you could have, 45, 50 degrees above and have to put shorts on. And it just like that. That's how the weather is. So nice weather like this, on top of the winter that we just had, which was one of the worst winters that we've ever had in terms of snowfall, snow accumulation. Supposedly this was like the third worst, third worst, however you say it. It was number 3 on the list of worst, bad. I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. The first and the second ones were back in like the 80s, so it's been a long time since we've had bad snow like this. Supposedly we were within 10 inches of the all-time record, state record of snow accumulation. One of my neighbors told me that we were like within 3 inches, but I don't know, that's kind of questionable because this guy also every other weekend catches 8-pound walleyes, so take it with a grain of salt, anything he tells you. But either way, it was bad. And I think what made it so bad is that the snow, I mean, it's one thing. I was born and raised in Minnesota, so I've seen all kinds of snow, I've seen all kinds of snowfalls, I've seen all kinds of winters. But sometimes it's hard to tell what is worse. You can have some snowfalls where you can have like 2.5, 3 feet of snow drop on you over a weekend. And other times, like this winter here, it wasn't the volume, it was the fact that it was just a little bit here, a little bit there, 3 inches here, 5 inches here, 7 inches here, another 2 inches here. And the problem with that is that, you get the plow out and you plow it all up, you get the driveway looking good, everything's good, everybody's happy, and then 3 days later it snows again, another 3-4 inches. And hey, some of us got to work, we can't be slaves to the weather all the time, and so you might miss that 3 inches that snowed. You might not get out there with the plow, and so your driveway starts to build up a little bit, and pretty soon you could be like literally 12, 13, 14 inches driving above the actual level of your driveway or the road. And in some cases you might actually even be going downhill to get into your garage. So if you're not out there, and there's been plenty of times 4 a.m. I've been out there plowing the driveway so that the wife or the kids or me can get out later to go to work. Not a lot of fun. It was a bad winter. And so one of the problems with that is when this is now the snowmelt time. So this is the time of year in Minnesota when everything looks terrible, okay? Because first off, there's no grass growing up, nothing's covering anything up, so everything looks terrible. You got dirt, you know, that the snow plows plowed up on the roads, and then of course they throw the sand out, you know, on the roads for traction. So you got nasty looking melting snowbanks. You got brown patches of dirt and earth. You got you know, everything, anything that you've lost all winter, whether it was the kids' toys or dogs got to go out and, you know, hey, do their thing right in the yard. So all of that is now melting out and completely visible. So, and also this year started out bad right off the bat, because we started out with one of the worst, heaviest snowstorms that we've had in decades. And when I say wet and heavy, I mean that the snow, for those of you that know snow, you'll know what I'm talking about. For those of you that don't know snow, or maybe never even have seen snow, um, snow can either be light and fluffy, or it can be like really wet and heavy. And the wet and heavy, that's when I used to, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a registered nurse, and when I used to work in the ER, we'd call those widowmaker snowstorms, because that's when people would have heart attacks out shoveling that snow. It's so heavy. It is just hard to move. It can stop plow trucks right in their tracks. It's bad stuff. And that gets on all the trees and everything, and it just weights everything down. And that was what we had this year. We had we've got busted limbs all over the yard, broken limbs, busted over trees. We lost a lot of tops of trees this year. A little bit, I'll show you here some of the other trees that we've had, and some of the branches. They still got a mess to clean up. So this giant pine is right in our yard here, but you can see, so we did have one pretty big limb that broke off there, and then if you look a little, hopefully you can see it in the sun there, but we had another big limb come down there. So now most people would consider this, you know, a tree, but in Minnesota we don't. This is a limb. But you can see, compared to my hand, how big that limb actually is. That was a big limb that came down. So things are looking up here, but problem is now all that snow, it's melting off. This is what we call the snow melt time, and it's melting off fast. And that water's got to go somewhere, and it can only go so fast. Our entire area here right now, Sturgeon Lake and where our ranch is located, everything here, we are all under a flood watch right now, because there's so much water and the ground can only absorb so much, and most of the ground is frozen. You know, still, you know, a foot below the ground here, it's still frost. The water can't go anywhere. So it just kind of sits on the surface and runs down to the lowest points. Kind of bad. It's bad. I'll show you guys some video that I shot earlier when I was coming home from work, but just a couple hundred yards down the road from me, you got major flooding going on. Some of the roads, not this time, I didn't catch it, but yesterday some of the roads were underwater. But a couple miles down the road from me here too, they is some big time flooding. Some big time rivers are just 4 or 5 times, you know, as wide and as big. Couple of places the rivers have gone over their banks. So this is just a couple of miles down the road from me, but you can see this is what Minnesota runoff looks like. This area is normally high and dry. The river is way over the banks. So you can see, this is all snowmelt. Completely flooded. This is just a couple hundred yards down the road from my house here, so you can see this is just literally coming out of the woods. So this is what we have to deal with almost every year, is the snow runoff. Crazy. wouldn't say this is typical Minnesota, but it happens to some extent every year. This is a really bad one. So we'll show you some video too around here of the ranch as well, and just kind of show you how muddy and how bad it really is. So let's go take a walk here. We got to take care of some animals too, but yeah, we'll show you what we're talking about here. Hey ladies. Ruby's showing off. What you doing? So these guys are looking a little more ragged than they normally do. They're starting to lose that winter coat, and eventually they'll have their summer coat out. Let me Sapphire. And they're getting frisky here. But as you can see, they've lost a lot of snow. They still got some, but what a difference. And the funny thing is, these three animals that we got here, these guys have never seen their area here that we have for them. They've never seen it without snow. When I brought them here back beginning of December, we had just gotten a light dusting of snow, maybe a few inches. Just enough to stick to the ground, and it's been more and more snow ever since. So these guys are definitely getting to experience a little bit different around here. They got mud, they got water, they got, well, pretty soon they'll have grass. You wouldn't know it, but in a couple of weeks here, this will all be grass. It's just the way it is here in Minnesota. You don't think it's gonna happen, and all of a sudden, boom, it'll be the middle of summer. There's Thor off there in the distance. Look at this, we got like tandem wallowing going on here. This is what we're going to be looking at dealing with here for a while, is this kind of stuff right here. Water everywhere. So here you can see just another example of how that snowstorm really messed up a lot of these trees, a lot of broken branches. So we're going to be spending a lot of time cleaning up, for sure. I think it was about two summers ago, I started digging this pond out for our ducks. Otherwise, they were basically ducks without a pond. They didn't have any place to go. So I started digging this out 2 years ago. Basically got it to like this last year, and so this is actually the first winter where we get to see how it looks with the runoff. There's actually a drainage ditch that runs through our property here, specifically for snowmelt and whatnot. And what I did was I just kind of tagged this pond right into that drainage ditch so that it would fill every spring and anytime it rains. So it's kind of a self-perpetuating thing. But it's a little bit higher. It's a little bit higher than it normally would, but so we get ourselves a little, you know, kind of a neat little stream here, you know, every year. And after a while, this will go down, and eventually this won't even be here as the summer wears on. But it basically just flows out, and it looks kind of nasty now, but it always does this time of year. and it actually goes, kind of hard to tell, but it goes through, kind of works its way through the sticks there. You can see the remains of the island there. Like I said, this is it's a little bit higher than it normally would be, but those two pieces sticking out there is actually an island that I put in the middle of it, so the ducks will hang out on that, especially at night. They don't go into the coop all summer. They'll, now that the snow is melting, and I'm actually surprised they're not down here right now, but now that the snow is melting and filling up the pond, and the pond is open, they'll be down here. So they'll pretty much be down here until this freezes over again sometime in October or early November. So I was wondering where the ducks are. Well, here they are. So I dig them a perfectly good pond, and they have to come and play in the runoff water here down in the field. But now that we're down here and we're talking about projects, I actually walked you guys out here over the winter here when we were on snowshoes. What a difference again. A week ago, this was completely covered with snow. In fact, we actually have some green coming up there. I'm surprised. But so this is the area that we're going to expand out to. Kind of hard to see it now. We got junk and everything that the previous owners were nice enough to leave in a pile there for us. But so this area is going to be cleaned up a little bit. The bison are going to be able to come right out here, and they're going to have this whole area here, and even further over that way, but kind of hard to tell from where I'm standing here. But and it's also kind of hard to tell because the land goes down a little bit there. But they're going to have this whole area here to run around in, and the ducks apparently. So remember the chicken coop we cleaned out just last weekend, not even a week ago, and all that snow that was outside. Now look at it here, no snow anywhere, well, except up the driveway there. A couple of chickens right here probably looking for handouts. Well, look who's home. And even more broken branches. And this is actually after I cleaned up a little bit around here. There were a whole lot more, but again, you can see also the winter runoff. Now that snowbank, some of you that may have remembered seeing some of the snow removal on other videos, but that snowbank at one time was about 7 feet tall, 6 at least. Now practically nothing. Oh, there goes a squirrel. Now, last year we actually had a chipmunk that would come up in our hands and eat right out of our hands. A couple people told me they don't believe that, but it's true. In fact, go ahead and look at some of our short videos there. I posted a clip from last July, I think it was, or June or July. A clip of that chipmunk actually sitting in my hand eating seeds. So I actually saw the chipmunk yesterday. I didn't have my camera on me, my phone. It didn't come up and eat out of my hands, but it was definitely the same chipmunk. So that thing survived the winter hibernation, and I did put out some food for it. It came up. It actually put its paws on my hand, but didn't climb up in my hand. So it is definitely around, and hopefully we'll be able to share with you guys some clips of our little chipmunk running around. So it wasn't more than a couple hours ago that I said about Minnesota weather, if you want it to change, just wait 5 minutes. Well, definitely the case here. It went from nice weather to rain. These guys don't seem to mind though. They look to us like they're miserable, but they don't care. They take everything in stride, and they're pretty hardy animals. So that is it for us today at Black Axe Ranch. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry we couldn't end on a better weather day, but maybe next time. And if you like watching our videos and you haven't done so already, please hit that little subscribe button down at the bottom of the screen there, and show support for our channel and subscribe. Thanks for watching.